about the nature of Islam. Admit that Islam is not a religion. Admit that Islam is a totalitarian ideology. In other words, the rights to religious freedom do not apply to this totalitarian ideology called Islam. Stop also the mass immigration from people from Muslim countries. Stop the immigration immediately. Besides stopping the immigration from Muslim countries, encourage the voluntary repatriation to the same countries. And ladies and gentlemen, for those people, for those Muslims who are already in our countries, who are already in our societies, if they behave, if they assimilate according to our rules, of course they are equal to anybody else. But if they become criminal, if they act in a criminal way, please don't send them to a social worker. Send them abroad, denaturalize them, and send them out of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I have many other solutions, but the most important thing I believe is that we get rid of weak leadership. A lack of leaders. We have, all of us have the privilege of living in a democracy. Let's use that privilege and exchange all those cowards that are leading so many countries in the world, exchange those cowards for heroes. We need more Churchills and we need less Chamberlains.
Right.
In fact, we have to go on the offensive. We have to stand up and start fighting back. We must no longer allow ourselves to remain seated in our cozy armchairs and get trampled over. If they bombard us with Sharia law, we will bombard them back with our human rights. If they bombard us with their court cases, we shall bombard them back with our court cases. We have to fight back, ladies and gentlemen. Millions of people in the world are sick and tired of it all. They refuse to take any more of this cowardness. We must make it clear. We must make it clear to all those people that millions of us, millions of freedom-loving people are saying enough is enough. This, in fact, is the reason that last week I announced a sequel, another movie in next year, in 2010, a sequel of Fitna 2. The movie will not be about the Quran this time, it will be about the Islamization of the West and of all those people, all those weak leaders who are responsible about that, about the consequences, for example, for free speech in our societies. And I assure you that I will continue with my struggle to fight for freedom. Because a struggle, indeed, it is. After Fitna had been screened for the first time last year in March, there were threats all over. There were threats for economical boycotts to the Netherlands. Our Dutch flag was burned all over the Middle East. I was prosecuted myself in the Netherlands, in Jordan, in France, the problems that we spoke about in the United Kingdom. I was not allowed to enter Indonesia and many other countries. Al-Qaeda was trying to kill me, made a fatwa over me. I lived in prison cells. Ladies and gentlemen, it's terrible, but let me tell you one thing, it's not about me. It's about our freedom, our own freedom. The freedom of you, your children, and your grandchildren is at stake here. And we should stand up and we should defend it. We should fight for our children's freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you at the beginning of my speech that I was going to be honest. So I gave you a lot of bad news, but fortunately, at least in Europe, there's also some good news. There is no doubt in my mind that at the end of the day, even though it's 5 minutes to 12, freedom will prevail. And there are already some hopeful signs. For instance, last week, the Dutch Parliament approved a motion proposed by my own party for freedom that said that any dialogue from any government with Hamas should be blocked. Yeah. And it was part of the good news is that, according to the most recent opinion polls, if elections were held today in the Netherlands, my party, the Party of Freedom, would be the largest party in the Netherlands. As a matter of fact, you might be looking at the next Prime Minister. And so I ask you all, I give you this example of my party and the popularity in the Netherlands. I ask you, if it can be done in the Netherlands, why not throughout the whole Western world? It's possible, ladies and gentlemen, it can be done. If the Netherlands were the first country to end up this whole multiculturalism and cultural relativism swamp, why can other countries not follow? Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I have not forgotten those to whom we owe our liberties. Our liberties in Europe were bitterly fought for. It were American soldiers who bled and died for European freedom. And those American soldiers did not die for an Islamized Europe, they died for a free Europe. We all in Europe owe something to those brave men. Their legacy cannot and will not be squandered and given away. And the third president and spiritual father of this great nation, the United States, once said, and I quote, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." And as so often, Thomas Jefferson was right. Our freedom must be safeguarded. And it's we, it's us, it's ourselves who has to do so. One period of inattention, of dropping our guard for even a short while, might cost us our freedom. Just like that. It has happened before in our history. Please let us not allow it to happen again. Everything we stand for, has to be defended with all our might. Our culture, our democratic institutions, our freedom and our civilization. We owe it to our children. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with the expression of what I see as our determination. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never surrender. Thank you very much.